The news cycle features a steady rotation of celebs who've somehow accrued DUIs, drug charges, and much more. But while it seems their crimes usually result in a memorable mugshot and little more, these are the celebs who have spent real time in the slammer. Wesley Snipes made a big name for himself in the 90s, but the US government eventually realized it wasn't getting enough of that sweet Hollywood moolah from the actor. He was charged with income tax evasion in 2006, allegedly owing the IRS $23.5 million in back taxes since 2001. CNN reported that Snipes was convicted on 3 misdemeanor counts of failing to file tax returns in 2008, for which he received a 3-year prison sentence. In April 2013, Snipes was released from Pennsylvania's McKean Federal Correctional Institution after serving 2 years and 4 months, after which he spent another 3 months on house arrest, according to TMZ. By 2014, Snipes was already staging his comeback with a role in The Expendables 3. Speaking with The Telegraph, the action star commented on how he thinks he was treated by the justice system, claiming, "I think there are people out there who feel it was overkill, overzealous, overreaching. But again, that was then, this is now. And they ain't seen nothing yet. I'm just getting started."
Take a leg. Take a leg, take a leg.
Home improvement star Tim Allen needed life improvement back in the 70s when he was busted on some serious felony drug charges. According to CBS News, in 1978, Allen got caught at an airport in Michigan with about 1.5 pounds of cocaine. He entered a guilty plea to a charge of drug trafficking and, facing a life sentence, he worked out a deal with prosecutors: 3 to 7 years in prison in exchange for providing the names of other drug dealers with whom he had associated. Of that reduced term, Allen served 2 years and 4 months at a Minnesota prison before getting paroled, at which point he turned things around by becoming a comedian.
I said to myself, I don't want to do this again. I want to pay my mom back. I put her through hell.
The experience was obviously life-altering for Allen. He told Closer Weekly, "It put me in a position of great humility, and I was able to make amends to friends and family and refocus my life on setting and achieving goals." In his decades-long career as a boxing promoter, Don King has been involved with everyone who's anyone in the fighting world. But it turns out he has a violent history himself. In fact, King has allegedly killed 2 people. In 1954, he reportedly shot and killed a man at a gambling joint in Cleveland. And according to The Independent, King said it was self-defense. The court called it justifiable homicide. Then the New York Times book review of Jack Newfield's Only in America, The Life and Crimes of Don King claimed the money man also fatally beat a man in Cleveland in front of a crowd of people. King received a manslaughter conviction and spent 3 years and 11 months in the pen before receiving a pardon from the governor of Ohio. A 77-year-old King told The Independent in 2009, "I recognized my sins, brother. I am confessed. But God didn't come to save the righteous. He came to save the sinners."
Would you ever take a contract out on him?
No. What for? You know what I mean? If I want to do something to him, I do it myself.
Richard Hatch is best known as the winner of the first season of Survivor. Unfortunately for him, the $1 million prize ended up becoming something of a burden, as Hatch was sent to jail for 9 months in 2011 when a judge found him guilty of not paying taxes on his winnings. That sentence was on top of the 3 years Hatch had already spent in prison for tax evasion between 2006 and 2009.
I never did anything deserving of prison time. I've never not paid or not filed any tax returns my entire life.
According to Forbes, Richard survived a total of 51 months on charges that also included, quote, violating prison media access rules when he did an NBC interview shortly after his second release from prison. This resulted in a 3rd incarceration in solitary confinement. If all that sounds complicated, that's because it is. But of course, when it comes to the eyes of the law, he could have just paid his taxes. Former NFL running back O.J. Simpson spent some time in the slammer during his 1995 double murder trial before he was found not guilty of killing his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ron Goldman. But he later spent nearly 9 years in jail on charges related to an armed robbery in Las Vegas in 2007. Simpson faced 9 to 33 years in prison for the robbery conviction, but according to CNN, he received preferential treatment due to his notoriety, and even cleaned up in the jail's fantasy football league. Simpson was paroled in July 2017 and officially released in October of that same year, with plans to transfer his parole to the Florida Department of Corrections. That idea went up in smoke when the state's attorney general at the time wrote, "There is no justification under these circumstances for asking the taxpayers of Florida to foot the bill for hosting Mr. Simpson's parole, especially in light of the added dangers that his relocation would pose to our citizens."
I've done my time. I've done it as well and as respectfully as I think anybody can.
On Halloween in 2007, rapper Brat reportedly got into a heated argument with a waitress at an Atlanta, Georgia nightclub and hit her in the face with a bottle of rum. Brat pled guilty to felony aggravated assault and was sentenced to 3 years in prison, 7 years of probation, and 200 hours of community service. She served the time, and then in 2014, a judge ruled that she also had to pay the victim, who sustained permanent scarring to her face, $6.4 million. Later speaking with BDO about her incarceration, the rapper said, "I think God does everything for a reason, and it was meant for me to sit down and regroup and think things over and realize I shouldn't take anything for granted. I have to be very careful about my actions and what I say to people and how I react. I think I am a better person, a wiser person, a smarter person who is not going to take anything for granted anymore."
You live and you learn, and you don't never want to come back to this place.
Former heavyweight champion boxer Mike Tyson is, in a word, terrifying. On top of erratic and violent behavior, both in and out of the ring, he has also spent a significant amount of time in prison. In 1992, Tyson was convicted of assault and received a 6-year sentence. He ended up serving 3 years. In his autobiography, Undisputed Truth, the boxer claimed he started a consensual relationship with a female drug counselor and was allegedly getting so much action that he said, "I was too tired to even go to the gym and work out. I'd just stay in my cell all day." Tyson has since stayed out of prison and kept his nose clean, converting to Islam and starting up a career in entertainment with the cartoon series The Mike Tyson Mysteries and a memorable cameo in The Hangover.
I'm old greatness, y'all new greatness. It's all about now, all about the future now.
We can all probably agree that disgraced record producer Phil Spector's mugshot is probably one of the creepiest of all time. But of course, even worse is the fact that in 2009, he was found guilty of killing actress Lana Clarkson. He allegedly shot Clarkson in his California mansion in 2003, though he maintained his innocence throughout the trial. The conviction came with a jail sentence of 19 years to life, which Spector has reportedly been serving in Stockton, California.
He played Russian roulette with women's lives. The first 5 got the empty chamber. Lana Clarkson got the bullet.
According to Page 6, Spector will be up for parole in 2028 at age 88. But in the meantime, he hasn't just been loafing around. According to The Blast, he's been spending time bitterly battling his ex-wife, Rochelle, over spousal support payments, successfully negotiating them down from a total of over $50,000 per month to roughly $39,000 a month. They eventually settled their division of assets in 2018, with the outlet reporting that Spector would get to keep items including a framed and signed letter to Spector from Richard Nixon and a backyard statue of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The godfather of soul, Mr. Dynamite, the hardest working man in show business, regardless of how you know and remember the late singer today, James Brown was once known as inmate number 155413 at South Carolina's State Park Correctional Center, where he served 3 years out of a 6-year sentence for brandishing a gun at an insurance company and then leading the cops on a car chase in 1987. According to the New York Times, Brown was found guilty of carrying a deadly weapon at a public gathering, attempting to flee a police officer, and driving under the influence of drugs.
I feel good. Jam!
He got out in 1991, but Brown essentially went on to reenact his original crime. According to Time, he led police on another car chase in South Carolina after discharging a rifle at his home in 1998. This time, Brown managed to avoid round 2 in the slammer and was sentenced to a drug rehab program instead. Actor Danny Trejo often plays tough guys on screen, and he certainly has the real-life story to back up that persona. According to Fox News, a young Trejo spent 11 years in and out of jail for various crimes, but he reached a turning point in 1968 when he and others were accused of starting a prison riot that injured guards. He told The Hollywood Reporter, We went to the hole and were facing the gas chamber, and I remember asking God, let me die with dignity, just let me say goodbye. And if you do, I will say your name every day, and I will do whatever I can for my fellow man. When Trejo was released the following year, he remembered his spiritual promise, embracing a life of sobriety and helping at-risk youth. All the stars of Bravo's Real Housewives series are wealthy pillars of their communities, which is why a glimpse into their private lives is so alluring for fans. But few cast members are as famous as Real Housewives of New Jersey's Teresa Giudice and her husband Joe, but that's probably because they both graced the news so many times over the years for the fallout surrounding a series of financial crimes. According to Us Weekly, the Giudices were indicted on 39 counts in 2013, including conspiracy to commit mail and wire fraud, bank fraud, making false statements on loan applications, and bankruptcy fraud. Joe was also charged with not filing tax returns for a 5-year period during which he earned about $1 million. The Daily News reported that the reality stars worked together to lie on various financial documents to fool banks into giving them loads of money to support their lavish lifestyle. And in 2014, both entered guilty pleas.
Like I thought, when you go to prison, you don't need any money. Hello, you need a lot of, you need money when you're in prison.
According to People magazine, Teresa spent just about a year in the Federal Correctional Institution in Connecticut, while in 2019, Joe completed a much longer 41-month sentence at Allenwood Low Federal Correctional Institution in Pennsylvania. But he wasn't going to go completely free. In 2018, a judge ordered his deportation back to his birth country of Italy upon completion of his sentence. He went while his family appealed that ruling, according to Bravo, which was denied in 2019 and again in 2020. After debuting with the Notorious B.I.G.'s Junior Mafia, Lil Kim struck out on her own with her double platinum solo debut Hardcore, while spitting provocative verses on smash hit high-profile collabs in the late 90s and early 2000s, including Lady Marmalade, Crush on You, and Not Tonight.
It was just like, however I gotta get it, I'm gonna get it, and I'm not gonna stop until I get it.
But in February 2001, New York radio station Hot 97 became the site of a shootout, for which Lil Kim was reportedly present, according to MTV. When police questioned the rapper, she claimed to have no idea why shots were fired that day, which police believe originated over a feud between Lil Kim and rapper Foxy Brown. Allegedly, the two rappers' entourages exchanged heated words before guns went off. Lil Kim was ultimately indicted and convicted on 1 count of conspiracy and 3 counts of perjury for lying to authorities. She was sentenced to 366 days in prison, but was released after serving about 9 months in the Philadelphia Federal Detention Center. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Nicki Swift videos about your favorite celebs are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.